So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Kimberly Logan.
We are all sent to do God's work to take care of people that are aging. That's everybody's goal. That is the essence of why we do what we do.
Our ability to work in the same industry and still have the same friendship that we had years ago when we first met, and to help residents and their families.
For many years, I believe that walls were up, but God allowed us to break those walls down. COVID made it even more interesting. I don't ever want to have to go through that again. That was the hardest nursing that I've ever done in 35 years.
Yeah.
And those time periods, the industry standards from the government, it was constant. I remember it was changing daily. So you would develop a plan, and within 12 hours, that plan was out the door, and you needed a new one. I remember that was a very frustrating thing for us as well.
I want one day, when I'm dead and gone, that there will be another 19-year-old that has the same passion to make sure that resident who just spit in her face, that she will still go to that resident and sing a song and hold her hand. So I pray they can grab a hold of some of that and continue the legacy that God has put in me.
Sure did. That's exactly right. To go get some ice cream.
Yes. And it's so exciting to be a part of.
It'll be amazing.
It really is. It's one of the biggest things I think we've learned.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Whether this is your first time, your first episode, first time hearing us, or whether you've been here from the very beginning, we appreciate you. So pull up a chair and join us right here on Around the Table with Vickie. I'm your co-host, Chris Runk, and across the table from me, as always, is my mother and your host, Vickie Runk.
Hello, everybody. Always great to be back with our friends.
And today, Mom, we're going to hop right in on it. We have a very special guest in the studio today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the administrator of Heritage Green and the pastor at Destiny Christian Fellowship, Kimberly Logan.
Hello, it's nice to be with you guys today.
Kim and I go way back in the professional world. And when thinking about how we wanted to do this week's show, she was the first one that came to mind. And so I'm so glad to have you right here around the table talking about some really important things, not just about the assisted living industry as a whole, but about you as a person. You just shared with us that you got an honorary doctorate last year. So
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that's a big deal.
That's a big deal. I felt like, I'm not really worthy of that. I do what I do because...
Well, wait a second. Let's tell everybody what's it in. It's in Christian leadership.
It is.
That's pretty
cool. It is in Christian leadership. This is who I am. I don't pretend to be anybody different. I am Kim. I am a lover of God's word. I am a lover of momentum. I am a lover of building people. So for a moment, somebody stopped and said, we want to recognize you. And I thought it was scam. And I was like, that's not right. And I showed my husband. He was like, no, I think that's legitimate. And I said, me? So the whole time, all the way up to going to Georgia, all the way up, I was like, I'm not on that list. I didn't brought all these people with me. I am not on that list. And when I saw the paper, I said, oh, my name is there. I am supposed to be here. The whole time I was questioning myself. And that happens a lot of times with us.
Yes, especially women.
Especially women.
Say that, yeah.
Especially women. We begin to second guess ourselves because we have our own insecurities or we have our own feelings of, no, I'm not as good as the other person. But God reminded me, I see what you do. And what you do secretly, I will openly reward you. So I feel like it was a reward. The whole time, my dad is in the hospital. My mom is demented at home. The whole time, chaos is all around me. But God says, you got to walk this out. Walk it out. You going to trust me? And it was so funny. The doctor called me as soon as I sat down. As soon as we walked in, and I thought, I'm on the front seat. I cannot answer my phone. dear God, please don't let my dad be dead. Lord, have mercy. And she called me again, and I thought, here we go. I looked up to heaven, and I said, and everybody probably thought I was praying.
Mm-hmm.
I was, Lord, please keep my daddy. Just keep my father. And so happily, after the whole ceremony, which was almost 2 hours later.
That was probably the longest 2 hours of your life.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So you had to go through the whole process. When I called the doctor, he's doing well. I thought.
Gosh. Hallelujah.
I said, thank you, Jesus. You answer prayers. So yes, that was last year.
I read something this morning. Every morning I get up and read. And one of the things that you just reminded me that I read this morning is it's in the moments of chaos that God creates moments to elevate you. Because if it's always calm, we don't appreciate the elevation.
Absolutely.
And so I found it strange that you had kind of lived that out and just explained that to us. And I do think as women, we don't give ourselves enough credit for the journey that we walk and the burdens that we bear every day. And when somebody else can see them and give us accolades for them, we feel like we still need to shrink.
I know.
And God says, no, it's in moments like that we hold ourselves tall and walk through that perfect door that He's got ready for us to elevate us in those moments. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And Kim has 2 grandsons, and she says they keep her very busy.
Yes,
and
yes, they do.
Operates and the administrator of Heritage Green, which is right here in town. And what we kind of want to talk about on the show today is our ability to work in the same industry and still have the same friendship that we had years ago when we first met, and the ability that we've kind of been able to open that door of communication to help residents and their families whenever they may need to move from a Runkin Pratt facility to a Heritage Green facility, or from a Heritage Green facility over to a Runkin Pratt facility. You and I were just talking about how that there's just sometimes that a family needs a new sense of scenery or new relationships. It's just, it's a hard journey.
It's a hard journey.
It's never easy. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So when I tell families, I said, listen, I know the industry. I've been in it long enough, and I know the people that work in the other buildings. So if you come to me to try to downplay another building, I'm not the right one, because we are all sent to do God's work to take care of people that are aging. That's everybody's goal. That is the essence of why we do what we do. Now, sometimes when you walk in, the feeling, this is home, this is it, that comes. And when it comes, you just flow with it. So there are times that I tell people, I'm not that enemy, and I'm not their enemy. So be very careful, because I know them all. And I all probably have all their phone numbers. Yeah. So we can work things out together. We have to collaborate.
Yeah, we do. There's doctor stuff that we need to pass back and forth. There's financial information that we have to pass back and forth. And we're both under the same regulatory standards through Department of Social Services and the Ombudsman and Adult Protective Services and all the things that go into, and this is rightfully a great thing to protect our older adults in our community. These are all services that we have to abide by, and yours is no different than mine. Mine's no different than yours. We have the same inspectors, for heaven's sakes. So, inevitably, it's going to come to a point to where our team members have to chat.
Yes, we have to be able to collaborate. We have to be able to put down our differences. For many years, I believe that walls were up, but God allowed us to break those walls down. I was praying this morning, and I said, God, you take care of both of us, because we're both God's daughters.
So true. So true. So true.
He takes care of us. So facility-wide, industry-wide, there are times that just one fits better than the other. And so when mines don't fit anymore, then listen, I got somebody, and I can send them to you. So relationships are very important to me, because we can bridge We can be the bridge for people that needs to go from point A to point B. We don't have to be enemies.
That's right. And ultimately, it's about that resident.
Right.
So many times it becomes about a family and their preferences or their likes and dislikes, and that matters to us. But it ultimately needs to be what's best for that resident. And if a family can't get settled somewhere, then that's going to affect the resident, right?
That's exactly right.
And so we need to make sure all channels are open to be able to make all that work.
And I think sometimes we fail to celebrate each other. Like, they are rocking it out. They are doing this, and maybe I can glean from them if as I age.
We're all doing that. I don't know why that has to happen, Kim.
As we age, we find I need to begin to duplicate myself. I don't need to be just play in the sandbox by myself. I need to be able to duplicate my information, my knowledge. And I think last year I decided, maybe 2 years ago, I decided to become a preceptor because everything that I know, which I don't know everything, but what I do know and the experiences that I have had, I can share with somebody that's coming up. Because when we get to 90, who's going to take care of us?
That's right. Yeah.
So if
Kim.
I got you.
You
We're going to put you in the penthouse.
Yeah, we got to be nice to him today,
Kim. We got to be nice. That's right. We got to put everything that we got in our minds.
Yeah.
I'll take good care.
Yeah.
Mom wouldn't have it any other way.
That's right.
I'm curious, you both are industry experts. What would you say in the assisted living specifically, what have you seen change the most over your years in the industry?
I think for me, we talk about on this show all the time the year of 2020, and I will never be able to get past that. So I think it all happened in 2020, just the expectations of families that we need to go above our standards. And that's just something that this industry cannot do. And we can't do it financially, and we can't do it with the staffing shortage that we are experiencing. And now that is getting better. Kim will probably agree with me that is getting better. We've seen a drastic change in that. But then there's that level that we need to keep training and getting our caregivers to excel and keep, climbing the ladder from a CNA to an RMA and then to a unit coordinator, which is kind of what we do. And I know she kind of follows suit with that. But just the level of training that it's taken, people were broken in 2020. As a general rule, our caregivers that are in our facilities right now trying to make a living, trying to give care, they were broken in 2020. So we've had 5 years now to try to recover in this industry. So I'm not sure we will ever be the same. It's going to take a few more years to decide that. The jury's still out. But I think we strive every day to still be in that recovery mode.
Oh, absolutely. Now, and I will tell you that since 2020, our residents came to us a lot sicker. They stayed at home longer, but it could have been the effects of being isolated. So we have to give a lot more care than what we did even 15 years ago. When I first got into the industry, people had their cars, they were going in and out, they were going shopping, and we were just, supervising. Now, the whole industry has
That's
changed.
Right.
So we have to change and we have to adjust to it. And like you said, Vickie, a lot of training has to go on because while you may not be required to be a licensed practical nurse, but sometimes you have to your skill set has to be at a point that I need some help. They need to be assessed by a doctor, a nurse practitioner. So the industry has changed. It has evolved. COVID made it even more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to have to go through that again. That was the hardest nursing that I've ever done in 35 years.
Yeah.
It was seeing people die. I went in on a Sunday evening because the cases were just rapidly turning positive. I didn't have anywhere else to make a cold haul or a hot haul. And so I was just like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? In the process, my husband was with me. I put all the garb on him. God forbid, he had asthma, and he was like, okay, I need a breath. I need a minute. And I was like, oh, and my people were dying that night. It was 2 and 3 people dying at the same time. Well, I was the only nurse there. And I was the one that picked up the phone, called the family, and said, I am so sorry, but your mother has just gained her wings. And it was a joy. It was a release. It was sorrow. It was a little bit of everything. And I had to take my feelings and put them to the side, because right across the room, somebody else was dying. And it was very difficult. And for those who went through, the staff that went through that season, I applaud them as champions for sure. But those champions can now train and help, undergird the season that we're in now. So if we endured COVID,
Get through anything.
yes, sir. Absolutely.
And those time periods, the industry standards from the government, it was constant. I remember it was changing daily. So you would develop a plan, and within 12 hours, that plan was out the door, and you needed a new one. I remember that was a very frustrating thing for us as well, because you have it all set. We got our screens, and this is what we're going to do. And then, no, we're going to change it. So how would you say during that time, too, I feel like maybe families' expectations after COVID have kind of changed the industry as well. What are you guys seeing as far as those expectations, how to have those conversations with the families?
For me, I think being authentically honest and open with families, saying what I can do and saying what I can't do. So please, bring your expectation level. Help me meet me, because I can't provide a one-on-one sitter. I can't do it unless you want to pay for it. I can't do that. And sometimes that's too difficult. So let me bring you into our industry, into our world. And as I walk with them, and sometimes it takes a lot of time walking with the family while they're going through their transition. But if you do, it will benefit you and them. And they will finally say, okay, I realize that my expectations were unrealistic. So I think authentic conversations from the beginning is crucial.
Absolutely. I would agree with that 100%. And I think too, and we've talked about this on the show all the time, it is up to a family member to research the community in which they're thinking about putting their loved one. And they need to always realize that there's going to be a list of deficiencies. We're going to get them. That's the inspector's job. What I want to see in all the communities is within 30 to 60 days, we've rectified those deficiencies. And those inspectors come back in to make sure we have.
You're exactly
and
right.
we can't get by with not fixing them. We're going to fix them. Now, when they're there, they may find a couple more things that we got another 30 to 60. But that just means we're human.
That's right.
And we're never going to be perfect.
That's right.
So I think that families need to educate themselves to the community in which they're thinking of moving into. I also think that they need to educate themselves to the regulations in which we are under, which helps bring some of the expectations down to where we need them to be, where we can see eye to eye with things. So many families will come into our environment and really not know what our regulations are.
Right.
And that's the first step. Knowledge is power in anything we go to do in life. And so I would encourage families to make sure that they're reading the regulations, make sure this is the level of care that you want to see given to your loved one.
And if I can just add, if it's something that they're not getting, you have to be able to be open with that facility. You got to be able to say, hey, help me understand. You got to be able to talk to them. Help me understand. Maybe I have the misunderstanding. And if you talk to that facility and after you have come to an agreement and it's still not working, then you can do some other things. But you can't hold them accountable if they don't know that you're struggling in this particular area. And I know Vickie, and I know if a family member comes to her and say, I'm having issues with 1, 2, and 3, then she's going to go and she's going to figure out what 1, 2, and 3 is.
Sure.
And I feel like I picked that up on the way, on my journey. So when a family comes to me and says, Kim, And I say, yes. I'm not going to shun away from a difficult conversation. What is the conversation? And let's fix it.
Yeah. It's one of the, if you don't know about it, you can't fix it, right?
You can't fix it.
Got to say it. Speaking about families, if somebody's just beginning that journey, there's a lot of emotional stress and logistics of moving in a parent. What would you say are the things that families are most unprepared for at that journey in the beginning stage?
The one thing, or the things that they are most unprepared for, is allowing giving the care staff a chance to learn.
Mm-hmm. Learn who that individual is.
Yes,
Yeah.
It takes 30 days at least for you to learn and really capture who that person is. And when you're moving in 2 and 3 at a time, it takes a while. And it's just not one caregiver. It's a whole team of people.
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day. So you got to give them a chance. And sometimes a family will say, well, I told you. And you're like, yes, but tell me again, please. Because it takes me 7 times. Say the same thing 7 times. And then, it gets around to everybody. And then you'll see, a lot of times I tell families, it's going to be rocky at the beginning. I'm telling you it's going to be rocky. I'm telling you it's going to take 30 days for us to get all the kinks out. After 30 days, then we can go from there. I think if they know that from the beginning, and even when I tell them, and sometimes they may not remember, so I have to tell them that again, they'll see when it starts to smooth out. I feel like that, for me, is one of the biggest hurdles that they have to overcome.
I think for us, we see that families are most surprised about the fact that mom's not going to change who she is just because they put her in our facilities. And we're going to have to deal with those nuances and the personalities and all that they've been dealing with at home. The other thing is, if mom falls at home, she's going to fall with us too. And I just can never get families to understand that we cannot prevent a fall. So that those walls immediately go up because we didn't catch mom when she fell. Well, they didn't catch her at home either. And so trying to explain that we're going to involve physical therapy, and we're going to get the doctors involved with how much physical therapy she needs to be more stable, or we're going to introduce a walker. Maybe she didn't have that at home, and now we are. There's things we're going to support the aging journey, but can we fix it all? No. And that's the first thing that I feel like they have to learn, is that we're going to create an environment to which they get 24-hour care, but can we catch it all? That's the biggest surprise to them, I think.
Right. That is so true.
Kim, Mom, you both come from a background of strong faith. How would you say that has helped your leadership style in senior living?
Because I haven't killed anyone. I think my team knows, because I'm very transparent about my faith. I'm transparent about prayer. I'm transparent about whether they believe it or not. It doesn't matter, but it helps me. It focuses me. It helps me with which way we should go. Not just the perception, but just the road that we should take. So, and then when I pray, there are times that I've prayed, Lord, do this so they will see that you are God.
Mm-hmm.
And when God works it out, they say, it did work.
Mm-hmm. Must be something to that.
It must be something. And then all of a sudden, hey, Kim, can you pray?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kim, can you pray?
I will say that when Kim and I were together in healthcare, there was nothing I loved better than to hear Kim Logan pray. I mean, there was a sense of comfort every time when I knew she was in the room. Yeah. And I knew that she had, a meeting or something. And if we were involved, I always asked Kim to pray. There's nothing more powerful than Kim Logan's prayers.
That is so sweet.
100%.
I think some people get tired of it. But that's the thing that makes my brain work, because I believe God downloads information when I don't know, literally, when I don't know how are we going to be a bridge or help or have a room for someone. And it's like, God, if they're supposed to be here, And you will ask any of my team members, I say, if they are supposed to be here, it will happen. Don't force it. Don't demean someone else. That's the integrity of a person. So integrity and faith coupled together will lead to seeing the evidence that God is with them. And wherever I go, I pray, God, you be with me. If you are with me, then I will go through any valley, any rough place, because the rough places make me stronger. So I can't skip over them, although I want to. But the rough places make me stronger. So I say, okay, God, if you go with me, I will go. And over the last 35 years, he's been with me.
Kim, we like to call these glimmer moments.
Okay.
Or moments why your work matters. Is there? Can you tell us a little story recently of a glimmer moment or a time that there was this special moment in your building?
Yeah. Oh,
some encouragement.
My work matters. There are so many times, but there is one in particular, memory care. I love taking care of people with dementia. And my assisted living has dementia as well. So they're just not at a place that they need a secured unit. But there were 2 women that were admitted same day. They don't know each other. And their families are both like, I don't know if this is going to work. And I said, and I don't know either, but we're going to give it a shot. And we tried, and it didn't work. It did not work. They were both up all night. They were fussing at each other. And so we said, light bulb, let's move them. Let's separate them, and let's see how this will go. And all of a sudden, it clicked. And they're both in therapy. They both walk around. And this, I believe it was last week, this one lady who I thought she will never get adjusted is sitting helping another person, another resident who is further down the dementia progression. And she's sitting there helping her and aiding with her during our July 4th celebration. It was so amazing to see how much she struggled from the beginning. But to see where she is now is nothing but a huge blessing.
And I think sometimes, as owner-operators, administrators, we can instill in our staff that when we don't have the answers, when answers aren't enough, there's Jesus.
Yes.
And he's more than just an answer to a prayer. He helps us with our solutions. And we can introduce faith into our staff issues with families, and they'll either let us use that or they won't. And I find in this particular line of work, everybody is so hurting and they're so broken, and there's so much brokenness in families when it comes to making decisions about mom or dad or their welfare, that they welcome bringing in a faith idea into their lives. If you just make them feel better by knowing that you believe that God has the answers. And so let's ask him for those answers.
Yes.
And then I know you feel the same way.
Well, I briefly want to touch on the word legacy.
Okay.
What legacy do you hope to leave in the healthcare field and senior living?
Woo, that's a loaded question. I want one day when I'm dead and gone, I may not see it, and it's not about me seeing it, but I pray that the same girl when I started at 19 years old, that there will be another 19-year-old that has the same passion to make sure that resident who just called her out of her name, that resident who just spit in her face, that she will still go to that resident and sing a song and hold her hand and make sure she's not constipated, make sure she's eating, because the nurse part of me still comes up.
Yep.
But the part when I first started was just the actual compassion. So I pray that legacy will transcend. Even when I am sleeping with Jesus, I pray that somebody has picked that up along the way, people that have walked close by me, they see my touch, they see my affect, they see my response, and prayerfully they can grab a hold of some of that and continue the legacy that God, I feel, has put in me.
Mama, you want me to kick that same question to you?
Well, you know what? We've talked about this a couple of times. I just want to know that I made a difference, that I took a very boring world 33 years ago to where our seniors were sitting in rocking chairs, and I gave them wings to fly while they were still here on earth, that they got to go on trips, and that we united families, that we educated people about aging, that we went into the rooms where the families were and we helped solve problems and unite families together. And if the generation behind me, which will be you guys, can carry that on, then I know we're going to go into a great future with the seniors in this area.
Well, Kim, thank you for coming on the show today. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your 35 years of caring for seniors in our area. Appreciate you being on the show today.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Mom, as we go to the end here, I know you have a special quote in store for us.
Well, thank you, everyone, for being with us today. Thank you for sharing some time with my great friend, Kim Logan of Heritage Green. And I pray that you all will see a little glimpse into our lives. It's not always easy. It's necessary, but it's not always easy. And thank you, Kim, for being my friend. Thank you for loving the seniors and doing it so well. Today, I just chose a very simple quote from Mother Teresa, and it says it all. There is a tremendous strength that is growing in the world through sharing together, praying together, suffering together, and working together. And that's what we're doing right here, folks. And I pray that you have a great week. And until next week, I'm Vickie, and we're all right here around the table.